how my high school life was. When I was in grade 9, I was bullied. My university experience, the whole transition from the moment you graduate until you start your first job. Coding is not difficult than managing people, the now and the future. Choosing the right career path is a critical decision for both high school and the university student. Yet many of them lack the necessary information and guidance to make these informed choices. This gap often leads to students and their guardian feel overwhelmed and uncertain about the future of their children. Despite the numerous podcast resources available, there is a notable absence of content specifically addressing the transition from education to the workforce and how existing skills can be leveraged to explore the diverse career opportunities outside the normal workforce. Before we move on, I would like to introduce myself briefly for those who don't know me yet. My name is Andy Matodzi. I grew up in Limpopo, Thohoyandou, Ganania Mapori. I know that's like too much information for you, but I'm a farm boy. The reason why I say I'm a farm boy is because I grew up alongside my late grandpa. For a very long time, I was the youngest kid in the family. So I happened to be my grandpa's best friend. Crazy, right? But I'm bringing that up because there's a lot that I got to learn from the old man. And as an appreciation, I'm choosing to pass on this information or the knowledge to other people who might need it. We used to spend most of our time by the farms, mostly on weekends. Of course, I did went to school, right? But then what I used to see was the old men used to make like a solution out of anything that was around us. If right now we probably need to get like let's say an orange from the tree, we just probably sharpen something, get a stick or do something, and then make a plan for us to get that orange, and then we probably indulge on it. So for me, that was quite fascinating, and I think as I grew up, I had this mindset of saying, whenever I see a problem, I don't really see a problem and cry, but rather I see a problem and solve it. Hence, I've tried to invent a couple of things. As any other kid out there, you'd be expected to be playing outside, either playing soccer, either playing skipping rope, or other things that other kids play. I used to not really like those as I was growing up. Most of the time, I would be indoors or obviously by the farms, or do other things that doesn't really require, physical sports or activities. I mean, yeah, even now, probably I don't really spend much of my time doing these outdoor activities. Although from time to time, you go and hike with a couple of friends and, just do the normal stuff, just to still keep active. Now that you know a little about me, let's go ahead and unpack a few more other interesting things about my careers. This podcast will comprise of 4 main sections. The first section will be me talking about how my high school life was, talking about everything from how well or how bad my grades were, all the way to just the social life that we get to experience in the high school and how I navigated that, good or bad. The second section will be talking about my university experience, and for those who went to college, they will definitely be sharing their college experience or any other higher learning institutions they've went to, the challenges, the successes, the transition of the life that they had to face as they're coming to this higher learning, and as well leaving your family behind just to come to Joburg or go to Western Cape or Eastern Cape to just get this better learning. And the third one would be the whole transition from the moment you graduate until you start your first job, either being an internship, a graduate program, or a full-time employment, or just starting your own business. We will definitely talk about that in the third section of the podcast. And lastly, we're going to be talking about the now and the future. So it's like we'll try to take a look at the things I would like to do and some advices, and as well get to answer some of the most commonly asked questions that I get, either from work, either from family, either from friends, or anybody that I come across that I think might be very, very useful for the viewers to know about. For those who don't know how they can get to ask me questions, be sure to check me out on LinkedIn, check me out as well on Twitter. I also have Facebook, I have Instagram, and what other platform? And of course, YouTube, which is where we get to post our videos. And make sure that the question that you have gets to be answered by either me or the guest that we're going to have. Speaking of guests, we're going to have a couple of guests coming and sharing their career fields and their experience throughout their journey up until now and probably maybe the future. So it will be very nice if somebody who wants to do things like, let's say, aerodynamics or I'm not sure what are those courses, but then you get to ask such a question, and then as somebody who is much more experienced in that field gets to answer it than just me answering it. So yeah, asking questions and popping these questions on my either mail or my DM or my post, it's quite useful. I'll try by all means to get to each and every question, note it down, and make sure that it's answered from these episodes that we're going to be pushing. Without wasting of our time, let's start this episode 0 of season 0 of CommuniCator Chats. I'll start talking about my high school life, right? But for those who are interested, I went to Fano Primary School that was in Gwenania Mapori, and as well as Dambabusha. Then when I moved to grade 7, I went to Mbara Primary School. I only did 1 year at that school, and then I had to move to high school where I started it from Liva and finish it there. I'm going to jump grade 8 and grade 9 and go straight to grade 10 all the way to grade 12. My experiences and what went wrong and what went right. When I was in grade 10, I was on the science stream, which means my majors were like your maths, physical science, geography, and as well as life sciences. It was just an obvious decision to take because I remember when I was in grade 9, I never really liked those. I think they were like spreadsheets in economics and all those kind of things. It used to kind of give me, bad dreams, right? So it was very obvious that when I go in grade 10, I'll get to choose those subjects. And for amongst those 4 subjects, my most favorite one was physics. And not chemistry, physics, and as well as maths. It's not like I was like the most brightest kid in the physics space when I was in grade 10. I think we used to just pass with like 50, 40, 45. But the whole trajectory changed over time. Like when we went to grade 11 and grade 12, the results were way too different and way too high as opposed to grade 10. I guess maybe that's when the puberty was really kicking in grade 10. We were a group of a few young men in high school. And we were just, in the middle of, not failing and not passing for a very long time. And I think we were able to pass the grades that way. And it was okay. It was the right thing to do, right? Until one of my friends decide to take a challenge upon themselves to say, okay, it's not like the guys who are getting these good marks in the class have different sets of brains. They have brains that has probably similar or same capacity as ours. Why can't we do the very same for ourselves? I mean, he pitched that idea for me. It sounds like a dream, right? But then he went on and just do it, started studying and did what he thought is best. And the first test when we were in grade 11, he got something like, I think it was like a 69, a very sweet 69% in life sciences. Of course, the whole class was like, oh, like they didn't expect that from our group of friends, because we were just like on the 50. It's like, cool, we know they're passing, it's fine, but they're not like the guys at the top. And that started to ring a bell to me to say, oh, maybe now it's high time. The guy started raising the stakes and I need to jump onto this. And that played out to be very, very, very great to the whole group, and as well helped up the standards of the entire class. I started doing my own readings as well, jumped a bit to some sort of a level there. But then my aha moment was when I was in grade 12. I remember the first test in physics, I got something like, I think it was like 92%. It was a tie with the most genius in the class. And yeah, that was the time when we started feeling ourselves, and we started even getting a bit more motivation to do the things that we need to do. And the whole thing, it just proved to me that we were not really studying and we were not really preparing enough for whatever tests that were there. We just thought, okay, cool, you could just open a book, 5 hours, go write the test tomorrow, at least get a 60, get a 50. Yeah, it worked throughout, but then from grade 12, that's where everything kind of changed for me. Flipped up, and then it impacted that very, very, very great to my overall grade 12 and final results. If I'm not mistaken, I think I came up with 3 distinctions. Of course, maths was there. I think life science was there as well. And physics or physical science was also there. And I was just like a few points to the geography one. And the other ones were just good marks. But was I going to get that if one of my friends decided that they want to be serious in life? Maybe not. I was probably just going to get to pass, but not really pass that well. And yeah, just for the note, the whole team, the whole squad did super well, and we all passed grade 12 pretty well. Just on the interest part of this talk, someone would probably ask, did I have any hobbies or extracurricular activities that influenced my career choices to say I want to be in the science field when I'm in grade 10? Definitely, yeah. I mean, somehow, somewhere, I think it was like 2010 or some sort, my mom got to buy the first laptop that we could really call ours. And then I started obviously playing around with a few things there. But then other things that I used to do with my big brother was we would like fix things around. I remember one night we were building a super sound. So a super sound, it's like, we're going to go grab a speaker that was not working where we put it with this radio that is working with this one. We tried to screw things up, put the wires on, and then see how loud this sound could get. Well, it did work until it didn't work anymore, because by around 5 in the morning, the radio was not working. Yes, we stayed up the whole night. I remember that day we were drinking the Coca-Cola. We finished the whole 2-liter Coca-Cola bottle trying to fix that. I guess that was good energy, and there was great learning that whole night. And I think that just kind of kept my science interest ignited for a very long time, and that was quite obvious which field I might be going to when I go into grade 10. And with all that, you can kind of say that was like the most memorable achievement in my high school, having to move from 27% in geography when I was in grade 10 to something like 92% in physics when I was in grade 12. That was the most memorable and the biggest achievement I've had to have in high school. But on the other side, there were quite a few challenges that me and my close friends got to face in high school. I've never spoken about this in public. There's a few people that actually got to hear the story, and there's a few people that got to see and experience this. When I was in grade 9, I was bullied. I won't mention the guy's name, but those who know knows. I was bullied. It made me and my friends' life worse, and like anybody else who's bullied out there, you kind of get to hate going to school. Not to say you don't want to pass or you don't want to get your life at the right space, but because you think any time is my time kind of a thing, And I mean, it started as a joke. Remember, we used to sit next to this other guy in grade 9, and yeah, he would like things being done in his own way and all those kind of things. It started as a joke when he would make us kind of sing a few things or a few songs in class. It was both nice and naughty, but when I think about it now, I can see that as where the whole bullying started from, because bullying starts from somebody who wants to show authority on you, and then you concern them to get such an authority on you, and then everything kind of builds up to the whole big bullying. But yeah, I remember we started singing some songs, entertained the class and all those kind of things, and blah 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 blah. It was all fun and good, but then fast forward to grade 10 and grade 11. I remember this one time, the guy gave my best friend a very hot clap in front of me. And of course, I was next, right? I got the very same hot clap as well. I'll explain how it happened. Apparently, we were spreading wrong information about him to some other group of people within the school, and then he heard about that, and he wasn't so happy about it. Me and my friend, we were just chilling outside the class during exam time, and jiggy, the second minute, somebody's coming with a lot of cameras. It felt like, Sizoktola and Ugajola 99. You just start seeing people come with cameras like this, and they start pointing at you, and start asking questions. Oh, why did you do this? Why did you say this? And whatever. I mean, the story was quite stupid, I would say. But the most painful part about that was some of the people that I thought were very close to me were the people who accompanied that bully to us. And some of them were the people who were taking cameras and laughing to me and my best friend. It was for me, I've never really felt any powerless ever in my life than that moment. Because number one, you're seeing your best friend getting a very hot clap that it literally kind of made the guy's eye turn red. It was that bad, right? And you knew you were going to get next. Definitely, I was shivering, the whole body. Have you ever been angry and shivering? That was my moment. And yeah, that happened. And yeah, it kind of affects you as a man. Number one, your pride. It affects your just your status in general. I mean, it matters a lot to guys, any guy, by the way. And yeah, that was bad. And from that day or up until today, I tell myself that any bully out there, for me, I'll never let them just get away with their win. Whatever I have to do to help in such situations, I'll do. Because, yeah, that was one of the most challenging phase or part of my high school. I hope I articulated it well, but I don't want to take out so much information about this. I just want to bring it out to everyone. Unfortunately, I haven't really came up with a solution on how to best combat bullying. But I would just suggest parents and guardians to be a bit more involved in their kid's life in high school. Like if your kid comes home not so happy or with their face looking like they're shattered, ask them why, what, and they probably might not tell you because they think the bully is listening to them. Of course, because that's how every bully makes you feel, like to say, if you ever tell your parent, I'll get you. But then if I ever tell my parent, what if my parent is a police or somebody who can take action like there and then? You get what I'm saying? Even though they don't really have to be police, but somebody who takes action and who takes bullying as serious as possible. So to parents, more especially in the high school space, bullying is real. Bullying is very, 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 very bad. And you can always be proactive about it rather than reactive. And by just kind of be there, we know you're trying to teach us to be super independent in high school, but be there, man. Just come to school or come pick me up or do something and then just look at my face and see how happy I am and then maybe try assist me in any way possible. And to the learners, I would say, don't listen to your bully when they say, well, I'll get you if you happen to report me at home. Just do what you need to do. Do the best. Yeah, you can report at school, but for me, I always think having to report home than at school is the best option, because I feel at school the actions that could be taken might not be as personal as what a guardian would take for you, because by the time you get to see, okay, this is bullying and you're not really happy with this, it's probably a big thing. And having to let that live on might affect either your grades, your overall happiness, your overall, I wouldn't say self-esteem, but it does have some sort of an impact in that whole space. So yeah, I know there's probably a few people who might have experienced something like this. And I hope that at some point we do get a solution for bullying, specifically in the high school space. Otherwise, let's go back to my career. In high school, I never really had any role model or mentors who directly guided me and was really, really looking into my life and helped me choose the best career or to study or pursue in the higher learning. I mean, for me, it was mostly just, hey, Ntuana, did you apply for this? And hey, Ntuana, do you know about this stuff and all those kind of things? And it was like mostly within the friends. I really appreciate that. It was mostly within the friends. I remember I was super relaxed on applying for university when I was in grade 12. I don't know, was it because I didn't think I was going to go to university or what, but there could be reasons then. I was super relaxed at doing that until just one time a friend of mine started just applying for me at UJ, and obviously I kind of finished the whole process, but then I went and applied for optometry as my first option and as well as computer science as my second option. The reason why I applied for optometry was I just wanted to find the reason why I have eye problems since I was very young and find maybe a way to kind of fix such along the way. That was the only reason. But then I got to realize I'm super afraid of blood. I'm super afraid of just seeing blood anywhere. So I was like, if I become a professor, will I even, survive in this space? Then, yeah, went to university. I chopped off my first option, which was optometry. I took it up, and then I went to computer science. Went to computer science somewhere around, I think it was 2016, when I did my computer science and informatics PhD degree in the University of Johannesburg. I thought university was gonna be super easy when I start and maybe at least get difficult when I finish. It was quite the opposite for me. It was way too difficult when I get in there. I remember this other one time around March in 2016 when I was doing my first year. I phoned my mom and I was like, "Yo, mom, I think I'm ready to drop out of the University of Johannesburg and come back to Venda and at least maybe pursue my stuff in the University of Venda there, so that I don't have to waste money on food and transport and as well as the accommodation here, because the things were just way too difficult." I remember my first class with the lecturer who was teaching, I think, computer science, C++. I was just seeing flames. I was just seeing things that were quite foreign to me. And yeah, I kind of stayed on and all those kind of things. But yeah, you could just see, no, man, it's going to get bad, you know. I remember my first test, I think I got like 40% in computer science with my first test, and I went to the lecturer and asked if I can write, what do we call this thing? Supplementary for the test. Yeah, it was that bad. I mean, I didn't know, right? I wish I knew. For those who don't know what computer science and informatics students do, I'll give you a high-level brief of what it is. And if you do need more information around this, let me know. I'm happy to create an additional 10 minutes video breaking this down and different career paths you can take, right? But what a computer science and informatics person does is, at a high level, they create apps that we either use on our smartphones or our laptops or our MacBooks or whatever devices that we have there. They basically they program, or they do coding. I mean, people do have different names. They're software developers or software engineers or programmers or coders or whatever. Those falls under the whole umbrella of BSc Computer Science and Informatics. And I mean, even the YouTube that we are using right now, Spotify that we are using, was created by software engineers who studied BSc Computer Science and Informatics at some level of some university or some college out there. The requirements, quite simple. You need to at least pass maths, I think with like a level 6, if I'm not mistaken, because what computer science is, it's just a strand of maths. It's like you deal with numbers. It's calculations, computations combined for you to get to solve a problem. So it's like, what is 1 plus 1? You need to be able to put it on a program and write the logic on how it's gonna process that and then give you an answer. So it's a whole maths trend. So you need maths. I remember physics as well. You need to be able to pass it. Fine. I don't think you really need much of geography and life science, but please pass them as well. At least pass your English, pass your home language, just pass anything else and keep your marks at a bachelor level and have a very good mark on both mathematics and physics. For those who still remember what is I think points, I think it was 28, 26, but we can just confirm on the comment section below. There are so many people that talks about their best life in university. Well, mine was not worse, but there wasn't really a very good balance between my academic and social life, as more academics took much of my time than my social life. Maybe my social life was like 10%, 20% mix of my whole university life, and most of the time it was academics, because I was super afraid of being deported back to Venda because I failed, or being given an F7. So by the way, an F7 is when you have failed at least more than half of your courses that you're given by the university during a specific semester or that year. So I was afraid of being given that. And as well, I was quite paranoid, by the way, of what could go wrong at the university in my academics. So that kind of helped me to stay preserved or to stay a bit more reserved within the university life. Yeah, I did drink, we did host a few parties there and there. It was normal life from time to time, but with how many people talk about their university grooving life and my university grooving life, yeah, I asked myself, where did they get the time to study? Maybe it might have been impacted by the fact that I used to not really like attending. Not to say I never really liked it. Maybe I didn't like waking up. I think that's the correct word to use. I didn't really like waking up and go to the class and listen and all those kind of things. I didn't really do much of that, which just gave me too much work whenever I have to prepare, because number one, you don't really know which direction is the lecturer gonna take, and in many cases they give you tips and tricks on how to get to pass their modules, and mostly the people who used to attend were the people who were doing super well. That changed, of course, when I was approaching my second year and third year. I used to at least attend more, with my most favorite subject being informatics. And another one, I mean, I spent so much time just watching YouTube when I was in university. I guess like almost everybody does that, because number one, there's too much Wi-Fi and there's very fast Wi-Fi. So yeah, I would just go there with my friend, sit by the bridge, and then start browsing the internet. Yeah, did you see this video? I watched a lot of unboxing videos where they're unboxing tech and talking about it and whatever. It was a good thing though. It wasn't a bad thing, so I guess maybe that was like my social life. But when it comes to grooving, not really. I know the other thing that people would advise you to do when you're at a university, it's either join like some sort of clubs, organizations, or groups at the university, either the soccer club or the res committee, something. Keep yourself within some sort of a group or an organization that has an activity in the university life. Well, I never had one, so I don't really think I'm the best person to advise on that. But I believe there is some sort of a very good gain out of it. More especially if maybe you are on the leadership side or some sort of an organizing side or something, when you have a role to do. It teaches you maybe a lot of talking, making friends, and as well as just expand your network in general. But I'll get probably somebody who has this experience to come and expand more on that. There was some more practical training that I got to experience within the university. It wasn't really like internship or student jobs as other people would do during maybe the weekends and all those kind of things. For me, it was like there is something at the University of Johannesburg where from second year and the third year you do some sort of team projects, where in the second year you have a 6 months project you need to do with your team. So for example, if they come and say do an app or website like Cator, grab your team of 4 and then start building that up and then go present it and then get marks for that. That is, for me, that was a great experience in general, because it gives you like how everything would be like in the real world and how everything would be like in the workplaces as well. The most interesting part for me was the third year project. That one spans out the whole year, right? So in this course, in this module called Informatics, you choose an idea, but then for me it was called Cleaner's Clean. It's like a cleaning service application that allows you to request a helper at an instant. So it's like, okay, hey, I would like my carpets to be cleaned, or I would like my room to be cleaned, or my dishes to be washed. Then, okay, jump onto the app, request, give them a few details about it, they charge you, and then they come in and then they do the cleaning. That was the idea. It was an interesting one. I think the biggest mistake that I had in that whole third year project was thinking that I have time in my hands and taking things slow. And it took me some time to realize that I needed to put in a bit more effort on this third year project than I normally would with any other thing. So I remember with our presentation, we didn't do so well. We didn't fail, but we didn't do so well for my liking. Then somewhere around May, June, I started like working at least 2 times the time I used to work. And then I started coding my Android application for that Cleaners Clean app. Just do it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just, went to the internet, find a few things, find a few videos there and there, put things together, make it work at least, and then be able to kind of present it. It was it took so much, but it was worth it at the end of the day. Some of the big challenges, of course, it's like the whole team management things. I mean, whenever there is a team, there is always some issues, but then how you navigate those says a lot about you. So I mean, we could, from time to time, you could feel the lack of participation from other team members, and then I had to kind of step up and then code the whole Android app on my own, and the other guy did like some sort of a bigger portion, and the other ones did help on the website as well. But I had to own the Android app and kind of just make sure that it works so that we at least get something. And then towards the end of the year, then there is something they call Project Day, wherein you go and present to big companies like your F&B, your Deloitte, Cybergate, and many other BBD, and many other technological companies around Joburg, which is quite interesting because the guys who are really in the industry get to judge you and help you and give you some sort of industry insights on the projects we are doing and where to improve it. And if you're very lucky, you probably could just even get your offer there and there. So it was a good and great opportunity. Some of the insights or experience I got from this project was I got to really bond with the team that we were at, right? And I got to really see the importance of having a team that is moving with one vision and in one direction. Yes, we got to fail big time. I remember at some point, I think we were quite emotional. We had to stay up the whole night with the presentation the next day, and nothing was working, and we had to just kind of make it work, at least get something, just so we get some sort of marks somewhere, somehow. And that was like the moment when it kind of tested whether you're gonna cry or not. And we probably tried to hold our tears back, but it was one of those emotional moments, and I believe it kind of strengthens the team, because I don't really believe the strength of the team comes from the successes that the team gets to make, but rather the fails that the team gets to experience and how they still keep each other intact and still treat each other great even through those failures. My toughest challenge that I faced in the university was, of course, I've already shared that I almost dropped out in my first 2 months being at the university because things were just difficult until a very good restmate came to me and then just sat down with me for like 2 hours and showed me a couple of things. Oh no, Donna, don't think this in this way, think this in that way. And a few things are quite imaginary in the software space, and you need to at least let your brains flow with such so that you can get to understand and be able to code these things out. Literally 2 hours, and I was great and I was doing well from that point going up. Of course, I mean, maths was like the biggest problem throughout. I remember, I once passed with like a 50% mark on the spot and 51% on the spot. So yeah, it was, there were some other challenges, but the biggest one was this one that almost gave me an idea to say, should I drop out? Should I not? But it was one of those. But I mean, from there, it just kind of taught me to say, well, if you have a good, strong network, somewhere, somehow, things are going to make sense. Things will get to work. Because if, let's say, maybe I have this friend who's very good in computer science, and maybe I was good in maths, let's just say maybe I was good in maths. Then if this friend is struggling with maths, I could exchange my skill, and then the other one can exchange their skill, and at least it would get boosted, and then we'll move on and work going forward. So make sure, get a friend or get a classmate, get a flatmate, and, help each other somewhere, somehow. The second toughest moment was when I came back from the university. This is not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. When I came back to the university and I found my bed flipped because I missed payments. So one story about me was when I was in my first year, my mom was the one paying for my accommodation rent. It wasn't so much then, in 2016, but we somehow missed two or three payments consecutively because, of course, it was it was difficult financially then. And the rent decided to flip my bed. Like when I came back, let's say this is my bed, right? They put it against the wall like this. And my stuff were taken down to some storeroom. They were put in black plastics and all that kind of things. It was a bad experience because my roommates were like, but why would they flip your bed like that as if you passed away? Because traditionally that's what's normally done, right? Why would they do something like that? That's bad. I mean, couldn't they just say come and pay, or make somebody be there when you're there and whatever? And again, for me, I didn't understand why that was my problem, because the person they had an agreement with who was working was my mom, which means if she's not paying, they need to deal with her. And somewhere, somehow, maybe I don't understand this. Somewhere, somehow, I don't think it's the correct move to take by the accommodation. But I'll leave that to people to comment on what they think about it. So it was very tough. I had to go and ask for just a simple blanket and something just so I can sleep for the night. And somewhere, somehow over the night, mommy did make some plans. It was bad, I would say. And I don't wish any student comes across such or get to experience such. It's bad. I get this was preparing me for the difficult challenges that life was probably gonna give along the way as we're getting older and older and older. So that was it. But I got to graduate, right? Transition all the way to 2019. It was my graduation. I went there. Actually, I didn't want to do graduation for a very stupid reason. A bad one, just because I didn't feel like. Which I think until today, I was gonna regret that moment. Definitely for the rest of my life. Because the feeling of graduating is one of the most underrated feelings ever. For me, it's just nice to celebrate that I got my degree. I got to finally graduate. But it's super nice to see my grandma and my mom smiling and being happy and celebrating the things that I got to fight for the past 2 to 3 years. So yeah, to anyone out there thinking of skipping their graduation because number one, you don't have the best suit or whatever, don't. I graduated with a suit costing about 700 rand. So don't think you'll have to get anything too expensive. I'm sure you can even get a trouser for like 200 rand by a small street and get maybe a simple shirt for like 100, 150 and then get to graduate with that. I was very lucky that I graduated, I think 3 months or 2 months after I started working, somewhere in 2019. So at least I had some money to buy for my graduation stuff. But still, I was very stingy because I never really had that money, right? So I was still on my stingy area. I'm still stingy, by the way. And my first job was a graduate program for 10 months. I was employed as a graduate software engineer. And of course, the word graduate is emphasizing that, hey, this is still a newbie. I was super lucky because we were assigned buddies. So buddies are like your mentors who are gonna help you transition into the workplace or that company or that organization. It was great, I'll tell you that, because number one, they teach you your soft skills that you really need at workplace, how you can socialize and the importance of that and making friends or network or colleagues at work, and as well as how to do your job, because most of these buddies are the people who are working in the very same line of work, either a senior developer or just an intermediate developer in that space, which is quite relatable. Before we get into the inner workings of the job, the interview process was I think it was simple. And I'll tell you why it was simple, right? When I was still in university, I did so many interviews. I remember there's this other one interview I went to. I wasn't prepared. I was very embarrassed of that interview. I don't even want to talk about it. So yeah, I wasn't really prepared and I didn't know my stuff. And I went to the interview and I just kind of embarrassed myself. Like it was bad, right? But other than that, there were some other interviews I did with some other big tech companies on that year. And unfortunately, I didn't get hired or didn't get any offers from any of the guys. I guess maybe I was doing so good, which it's a very fair point, right? And then with this one, as I was like giving up, right? I remember I was at home. The schools were closed. I think it was like around the 16th of December, 2018, wherein a talent acquisition from the company, Iris, by the way, reached out and they were like, hi, are we talking to Andy? I was like, yep. What did I do? They're like, no, well, we wanted to set up an interview with you, blah, 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 blah. This is the date. I think they gave me like 11th of January. And yeah, we would like to hear from you, blah, 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 blah. At that time, I didn't even remember. I didn't know that I applied for such a position. I still suspect that my mom applied for me and she applied for the wrong position. And I think she applied for like a network engineer position and they didn't take me then, but then they considered me for the software development position because from the candidates they have, they couldn't really find another person to employ for that role. So I guess I was very lucky. But then I told myself, I need to do great on this. There was a small challenge because by that time I was still supplementing a mathematics module. So I was supposed to write a sub by January or some sort, which I went there and write. And yeah, I had to get like some results in like 2 weeks. But still, I went to the interview. It was a one day, you get hired or you don't get hired, and that is it. I went there, I met my manager, and then we started chatting, hey, how, well, this, blah, 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 and then we get the stuff out. So it was a very simple a technical chat, and as well as we went to through some sort of soft skills and all those kind of things. But then before then, I had done, I think it was around December, I had done a technical test. I didn't do so well. I think it was like at 58%, but they still gave me a chance to come to the office. And then I spoke to the hiring manager, and then they gave me a chance, and then I got an offer from them. I remember it was just this other day around 8. Well, I was still in Joburg, and then I received an offer to say, hey, would you be interested in starting somewhere March? And I mean, I don't have a choice. I would just say yes. And then, yeah, I jumped onto it then. I guess I wasn't like the best developer when I joined. But when I come out, I think I was much better and much more ready for the workplace and obviously the future. Another question that could come from my working life would be, what were the biggest adjustments that I had to make to transition from college all the way to the workplace? Back to my buddies, right? They taught us very good soft skills, technical skills, and I was very lucky. The day we started was a Friday, and it was a beer day. So yeah, you had to kind of drink a few beers and be able to socialize. For me, it was a blazing in disguise, right? But then the real deal starts Monday when you get to do the job. Some of the challenges you get here is, maybe you might be unlucky. By the time you're joining, they don't really have work that is, welcoming to the juniors, or that is quite easy for somebody who's starting out to at least feel welcomed. So then somehow you might have to look for some job for yourself around the company, or ask somebody if you could help them do, let's say, fix a small bug or do something and all those kind of things. And if you are a person who's quite reserved, yeah, you might not really win, or you could just stay for like 2 to 3 weeks without even proper job, right? So you do really need to go out there and, start talking to people, get into teams. Don't care which team you're at that point. No, just start talking to people. And people do like it, obviously, when you do help them with their job, because they'll get to finish way much faster and quicker, right? So having to network and having to not close myself in really did help me get to transition well. I really loved IRS because we had a very amazing, I'm going to say this, facilitator who helped us, with the training. I think that training spent about 4 weeks or so, wherein we would come in and then we would still, check in, and then different people give us presentation on different topics and different products, the future of their company and all those kind of things. For me, it was still more of academic, but still giving you the vibe of we're at work, and then we're here to do some work. Just to discuss one piece of work that I'm super proud of, that I had to do at IRS, my first job, right, was to write a Google extension, a Gmail extension. When you are on your emails, there are those extensions where you need either your calendar or any other extension that does things on the side panel of your Gmail. I had to write that whole thing from zero, scratch, to integrate to some internal company applications to get data, some stuff and all those kind of things, and make it work with Gmail. It was very interesting, and it came with its own challenges. Like, some of the technical challenges was I had to kind of do some OAuth process and whatever. So yeah, it did take me about 2-3 months to figure that out. And by the time I really understood, we had to do some sort of a 2-day hackathon and present the very same idea. So yeah, it was a very, 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 very difficult time. Right, but then I was grateful because all the other grads that I joined with that year were in the team I was at to go and present this hackathon work at the company. So we stayed there, get some pizzas, some beers for the night. I couldn't drink beer because I had to still be on my thinking state, and we wrote that whole thing and then went to present it. I think we were like second or third place in South Africa for that hackathon within the company, which is great because we only just got to make that app work just a few hours from the hackathon presentation. Some of the biggest learnings I got there was, again, team building, being together, failures, success, and just sticking to one direction as a team. I mean, there were a few hurdles we experienced over the night. At some point, I was super blogged on what to do. I didn't know what other things to try to make this thing work because it had to work somewhere, somehow, but I didn't know what else to do. Other people who are not developers did assist so much by, poking a few ideas, suggesting a few things, helping out research whatever they can come up with, which is great because that's what you need at that time. You just need emotional support, technical support, definitely, but just the fact that you have a team, they really helped and make us get to win this hackathon and be at a certain place. It was all nice, and for me, I would still say the hackathon win was the best win of the start of my career. So for anyone out there looking for an advice of the best skills that you really need to have for you to survive on your first job or transition into the workplace or even the current job you're at, I would say number one, learn to communicate. That is the most important thing for me because I believe that just your mere technical skills won't take you as far as your technical skills and your communication skills. Because if you are too technical as a person, which means if you can do the job, you are good for yourself and to get the job done. But if you're technical and you can communicate, you're good for yourself and the rest of the team. You can communicate your idea clearly to the next person, which means it's like doing a copy of you on somebody else. And that is the most useful thing in business because we just need, a workforce. We need people to do the job. As many as they can be, we want them. And as smart as they can be, the better. So which means if you are smart and you can be able to share your smarts with somebody else, then it puts you at a very good place. The third one, I don't know if I spoke the second one, but yeah, communication, be technical as well, know your job, practice. Don't think that days wherein you have to study or learn are over. No, it's just the beginning. For me to be able to do that whole process, I had to go and learn like I never went to university. So keep on reading and learning. Give yourself some time when you come back from work. And yeah, that was it. I only stayed there for like about a year or so, and it was the greatest time of my life. I really loved working there. Other experiences of other companies, I'll try to just touch there and there, but I won't get as detailed as I did with my first full-time employment. So as I was working in my first job, I still had to stay in sync with my own learning. Keep on upskilling myself, learn the new framework or new stuff that I'll be interested to continue my career with. I then started a very simple system then. At that time, I think I was like 9 months into the working, so it's around December or some sort. Then when I come back home, I started this other system that we called Smart-eFiler. All it was aimed at doing was see if we can put all the doctor's schedule online. So instead of you going to the doctor and the doctor opening a physical file for you, then they'll just go into an app and then do the magic there. You had features like having to book the time with the doctor. And I think for me, the biggest one was if the feature were on the app that I was doing, you should be able to see the allergies that a patient has highlighted. For me, that was very, very important because sometimes as patients, they kind of hide some of the allergies they have, or sometimes you just forget to say what are other allergies you have, if you're allergic to peanuts or if you're allergic to antibiotics and all those kind of things. And yeah, I mean, I did try to play that around with that. Wrote it, I think, at that time with Angular and with some Firebase stuff. I won't get into much of the technicals of that, but should somebody wants me to get into that, I'll do a whole separate video for my technical friends. Over the years, I got to progress to my next role as a junior, and then I progressed to as an intermediate. And about a few months into the intermediate role, I became a software engineering lead. A software engineering lead role is like a senior engineer who also has very great skills with people, like soft skills. Like you can lead, you can communicate, and as well as you can code. You should be technical still. It's just that your skills are more of, people than just mere technical skills, because definitely within your team, you're probably going to be having one or two other seniors who are strong, who should be able to be solely focusing on the technicals of what the team is doing. And you are there as the medium guy that talks with the product owner, which is the guy that leads the project. So that comes with an idea of, okay, these are the things that I want to do from the business side. And then you are the middleman, and then you take it to the team and be able to work with the team to make sure that we achieve that, right? So you're like the guy, the stakeholder, the guy in the middle of the stakeholders and the guys who are developing the things. So yeah, I mean, over the years, I did get to lead a couple of people. And one of my greatest experience was seeing people learn and grow, right? I mean, I've already said it in a couple of my posts on socials here to say I really feel great when I give something to somebody. So if you came in with your skill at some point here, good enough, great, and I happen to help you to get to the next level, or even other levels that you never thought possible, for me, that is the biggest fulfillment. So it's like when I give, I get somewhere, somehow, even though you're not really giving me something directly, but I give, then I get the sense of completion from that giving. And the biggest challenge that I got to face throughout was actually coding is not difficult than managing people, because it's quite easy to expect a certain result if you did this work in this way, but it's not the same when it comes to people. I'm not saying people gave me enough troubles or what. No, they never did. It's just that you got to lead this team with certain level of ethics, but still not losing what you are there for, and still not losing people or the people element. So having to put such a balance on people with, diverse interests, it's just difficult. And diverse age groups, you find somebody who's still very young like me, or somebody who's very old like me again, and you need to kind of find a balance between the two and make sure they both feel safe and they both feel the team spirit, so that we can be able to achieve what we need to achieve. If at any given point you would like to be a lead or a manager or a director or a CEO, whoever, somebody who's leading a team of people to get something done, right? My advice from the little that I know would be taking a wrong or bad decision. It's better than not taking a decision at all. Why I'm saying that is because, you only get to know that it's a wrong or bad decision after you've taken it, and then the consequences are on the way, right? So be willing to just take a decision than just not taking a decision at all. And another piece of advice is get your priority list in order. What this means is know the things that really matters and the things that don't really matter. For example, right, let's say you have a house and the house is pretty dirty and you came back from work and you are very hungry, right? Between washing dishes and cooking, and as well as maybe cleaning your room, putting your clothes properly, and maybe switching off the lights of other rooms, which task would you go for there first? For me, it's quite clear. Go wash the plates and then cook so that you can eat because you're hungry. That is the first thing on the list. Things like having to put your bed properly, switching off lights somewhere, mopping the floor, and all those kind of things. They can come fourth or fifth in that list due to the priority, which one comes first, which one matters more. And this becomes a very important trait as a lead, because there will be so many things you need to do, or so many decisions you need to take to get this product or this app out. And it's not everything that really requires your full attention or the immediate attention for you to implement. So yeah, you should be very good at prioritizing and take your time planning and prioritizing what needs to be done, what is important, what is less important, and what is just not so important at all. To avoid this whole episode being very long, I am going to jump straight into FAQs, frequently asked questions. I'm only going to take 5 from the most frequently asked questions. And the first one is how do you prepare for interviews and how can one get to be you? Again, to start with, don't try be me, don't be me, be yourself, because everybody else out there is taken and you are not. I don't know if that makes sense. But to answer the interview question, how do I get to prepare for interviews? I have got to learn this thing over time of saying, write down your storyline. Remember, when you're in an interview, it's like you are pitching a business or you are convincing somebody that, well, take a look at me, take a deeper look at what I can offer and what I can do for your organization. So think of it in this way, right? So imagine you come back home at night and it's after hours that, hey, don't come back after 6 or something like that. And then you come back, you kind of overplayed and come back around 6 or 7 or something like that. Before you enter the gate at home, you probably need to take like a good 1 minute, 2 minutes and think of a convincing story to tell your guardian or your elder person at home so that they can really understand the situation from your point of view. So I kind of think of interviews as that, right? Although you might need to package your interview story as short, precise, and interesting as possible, you need to be able to make the person who's interviewing you, the hiring manager, get your story in the shortest way possible and avoid like vague words, big words, stop flexing, just be you and say what you're saying, but then try to make sure that they get as much as they can with the short time they have with you, like a 30 minutes or 1 hour interview. Just be interesting and be yourself. Whenever I go for an interview, I write my points down. If I have to write down that I'm a farm boy who did whatever, I do write it in that sequence. I write down where I went to. I know you know those things at the top of your head, but the preparation, it's much better than you just saying, I'm just going to jump into it. So you got to prepare, and you need to prepare enough. But for me, I think writing is the best way you can go about it. Cool. The second question is, how did you find the balance between learning, hard work, and burnout? Well, you don't, again. You can't find learning, hard work, and burnout balance. But there's a few things you can get to apply to minimize the risk of that. right? It's in the first place, the reason why you'd burn out is because you work hard or you learn very hard or you take so much time working, right? Which means either you're a workaholic or you don't have a choice. You just gotta do what you gotta do, right? So that is part of life. So at the base of it, it's at some point you're expected to burn out because you're working so hard, right? But then the way you can think of it is don't ignore signals on your body. If your body is telling you, bruh, we need to rest, take it easy on yourself. Take some time off or do whatever. Take that decision because at the end of the day, you are the most important thing in whatever you're doing. That learning, that hard work, and the outcome that you're going to get, it's you. And if you are not there anymore, it poses a whole different question. So taking care of yourself becomes the first one. Well, I at some point I'm hoping to go back again. I had been exercising for exactly 8 minutes, and the reason for that is because I just feel like any minute I spend away from my laptop, it's like time wasted. So then I was like, I need to find the shortest exercises that I could get to do at home without having to leave my home as possible. And then yeah, I did that. Kind of did stop, but I'm hoping to go back soon. So you also do need to exercise. The third one is any key insights on skills development, teamwork, problem solving, or career progression. I mean, I did cover most of these things like the skills development, teamwork, and then problem solving and career progression. So I'll try to put in problem solving and career progression in this answer more. So one thing you need to understand is at work you are there to solve problem, or at any other organization you are there to solve problems, which means your value comes from how well and how best you can solve problems. So, and the art of solving problems, it mostly comes from experience, but I also think it also comes from how you train your brain to react to a problem as well. So stay calm and focus on the problem that you have. Try not to create the second problem that is not even there, and just solve whatever problem is there. So I don't know the best way to kind of teach somebody to solve a problem, but you only know that you solved the problem by seeing the results of whatever you've solved. Going to career progression, I have a very big view on this one, right? It's the people who progress pretty well anyway. It's the people who can communicate or talk well and do their job well, and maybe also have like some network of some sort. But those are the two main things: do your job well and be able to communicate well, and also be able to make your impact other people, that at the end of the day results to even a bigger impact. I'll put it in this way, right? I already spoke to saying that I don't think technical skills are good enough without soft skills. So when I'm talking about progression, it's you probably will only see the gates of being a manager or a director or a CEO if what you do helps other people do better and do great for the company. So you are much more useful at a larger scale. So think of scale anytime you think of career progression. Yes, you can progress in your own narrow space. It's okay, it's perfect, and it's doable. It's just that my view mostly it's around what can you do yourself that can help the next person, and do other things like that. So it's a whole expansion graph from my end. So yeah, that is it. The fourth question: what advice would you give to your younger self at high school, college students? What advice would I give myself? Well, I would just tell myself to just start. Whatever that I'm thinking of doing, just start. I mean, I always tell people that if I wish I knew that entrepreneur is a thing, or content creation is a thing, or just doing whatever you need to do is a thing and it matters. Whether at a smaller scale or at a larger scale, at a whatever thing, it matters. So just gotta start. So I would have wished to tell myself to be a bit more serious when I was in grade 10, and as well as at least try to start something as well at that time, be it creating content, be it a small project, be it learning a new skill, be it maybe starting to play soccer. You get what I'm saying? Be it anything. So just keep yourself active. So yeah, that's one thing I would tell my younger self. And obviously, what advice would I give to students who are about to write their exams? I mean, there's gonna be trials, I think, in the next 2 months for the grade 12s. What can I say about that time? That is the most important time. For grade 12, if you have been relaxed the whole time and whatever, you have the time to redeem yourself. This is the right time and this is the perfect time, right? Because with the trial, if you do well, for me, I think somehow it kind of guarantees that you'll do great in your finals, because it's like you're exercising. So take these trials as serious and as important as you would with your final exams. And I know there will be so many things that will be trying to derail you, and just that looks great, by the way, parties and all those kind of things that would try to take you from studying or preparing for exams. Well, it's fine. You'll get more of it in the university. For now, relax, study, and work hard. So yeah, that is it. And how can parents or guardians support their children in making these informed career choices or decisions? Yeah, this one is an interesting one, right? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure if I go to my mom and ask what a medical physicist does, yeah, it would be a very interesting one, because I also didn't know, right? So how can parents support their children? Yeah, it's a tricky one, because it's like you're expected to know what you don't know. You see, so, and I think for me that's the reason why obviously I ended up creating this platform, to say I want to teach myself and as well somebody else out there who's expected to know, but they don't know what each career field entails, or who are some of the role models they can look up to online or in person and stuff like that. So the guy the advice I can give them is, well, keep on to these videos. It's not going to just be about me. This was the first episode 0, and there's gonna be more. When I'm gonna be talking with different people from different career fields, way smarter than me, way more interesting than me, and yeah, that's all I can say. And as well, for me, I think it would even be important for parents to also just tune in on some of these things, because I don't think it's too late for you to also advance your own personal career, and as well just stay informed of what's happening. And yeah, that's what I think. This was a very interesting one. Took some more time to create, but I hope it has made a significant impact in everybody's life. And I'm hoping to have chats with more guests that are more interesting than me, and uncover most of these career journeys, wherein I'll try by all means to get as deep as I can to understand and unpack these different career journeys that people have. And for those who would like to ask me any other question, be sure to check me out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and as well as on YouTube. Otherwise, you can just leave your questions on the comment section below, or suggest the guests that you would like to see coming and having a chat with Mr. Cator. Thank you very much, and thank you again.